Hello, my friends. It's time once again for me to talk about all the stuff that I think is cool that I have picked up just recently on a little thrifting trip, and a couple of things I think I've received in the mail from buying off of eBay or Etsy or wherever I bought it from. But I haven't done a thrift pickup lately, so I thought I'd do one. This is my last thrift haul. Got a couple of bread and butter issue or bread and butter items, I should say. But first up, to get into it, is this Orvis jacket. Not vintage, but it's a good brand. You know, it's one of those premium brands, and I got it for like, I don't know, $3-4. So that should sell pretty easy, especially now that it's in the fall winter season. This is a Harley tee, new with tags. Can't get any better than that, unless it was a 3D vintage Harley tee, new with tags, right? That'd be much better. But it is fairly new. It has the tag still on it, so that's pretty cool. It's an extra large, right? Can't get better than an extra large. It says I got mine at Harley Davidson Motorcycles, and on the back, Longhorn Harley Davidson, Grand Prairie, Texas. So that should be an easy sell, especially since I picked it up for, I don't know, a couple bucks. And then a Levi's sweatshirt. Things in perfect condition. It's a large. Not vintage, maybe I would think, I mean, they're still producing examples, or this sweatshirt, but it looks a little bit different. This is an older, probably early 2000s sweatshirt from Levi's. Kind of that old school look. But that's kind of the three bread and butter issues from this last thrift haul, all from the same place. But what I wanted to talk about, or what I think is interesting, is I always go out when I do these thrift hauls, or I go to the thrift store. I have something in my mind that I'm looking for specifically, or at least a certain area, you know, of collecting or vintage or flipping that I'm looking for. And I almost never find the stuff that I'm specifically going out to look for. But I almost never, besides the jeans, I almost never look in the pants. It's just not something I think about very often. It's usually tops and t-shirts and things like that, or even suit jackets. I look at suit jackets because I look for, you know, vintage wool. But it's slacks, pants, and I found 10 pair of vintage pants. And it, like I said, it's not something I would normally look for or normally pick up, but they were all grouped together. Obviously, all came from the same person because all 10 pair are all in size 36, which is a little bit large for selling, but I wear 36, and I found all these, and I just think it's cool. So I'm going to show them to you. But they're all vintage Western wear, or most of them are vintage Western wear. You have to look kind of close at the pattern. It's kind of hard to see, but they have the Western features on them. This brand here is Panhandle Slim. These are all made in USA. So there's a Panhandle Slim made in USA. That's one pair. Here's another pair, kind of that gray shark skin kind of a look. Pearl snaps on the back pockets. This is Mesquite. Here you go. Made right here in Tejas. This is another pair. These are kind of a mustard. No, I wouldn't say mustard yellow. Not really. I don't know what you'd call this color. But the brand on these, it says the Sansabelt system. So it has this really wide flexible waist, I guess for us older guys. But it's a great pair. I'm going to go faster with the rest of these. The pattern on these are fantastic. Might be kind of hard to pick up. Has that same Western type of flare to them. Kind of a gray fleck. These kind of have a pinstriping. This has an interesting pattern on it. I don't know if you could pick it up. It's kind of a linen pattern. These are also the Sansa-belt. And the last of the Western pair are these blue poly, and they're the Sansa-belt also. So, a pair of the vintage 70s, 60s, 70s Western pants, slacks, 3 or 4 different brands. And then the last two are OG 507 pants, the military uniform that was made from issued from 1975 to 1982. These are not the OG 107s, you know, from the Vietnam era. These are the late Vietnam era into the early 80s. But they're dead stock, both size 36. They don't fit 36. They say 36, they fit 34. But I have these already listed. These should sell pretty fast. You know, the pants are so much harder to find than the tops. A lot of the pants are wore out, and one of the reasons for that, especially during Vietnam, for the OG 107s especially, is soldiers, when they were back in their fire bases or patrol bases and they had to work filling sandbags or digging a foxhole or a defensive fighting position, they would take their tops off because it was hot and work in their t-shirt and the pants, and of course their trousers, and the trousers would wear out much faster. That's the thought, or one of the reasons why there's so many tops around still as opposed to the pants. And the pants or the slacks will always bring a much higher premium than, of course, the tops will, usually. Unless the tops or the uniform tops have just the right kind of patches and they're in great condition and they're in a great size and they have some history attached to them. But you can look, read or look all about those types of things for looking for tops in some of my other videos. But I also picked this up. I don't remember if I covered this in one of my other videos or not. You know, us old guys forget. But this is a haversack. And why they use this for a backpack is it sure doesn't hold much, but the haversack, and they had all these component bags that kind of hooked to it, sometimes 3 and 4 different components, like the entrenching tool, you know, little shovel, foldable shovel, or T-handle shovel that isn't foldable. And but anyway, and a mess kit pouch and all this other thing. But they issued haversack for quite a while. And there's a lot of different versions or different issues of the haversack. This one is dated 1918. So it's a good year. It's an older one, obviously. And the best part about it is it's in near perfect condition. And I have it all, you know, closed up right now so you can't see it, but there's somebody's name on the inside. And I put a wool blanket, a wool army blanket on the inside of it, just to give it that shape for display. And what's neat about the wool blanket, maybe I'll show it in another video, is it has chain stitching on it of the guy's last name that the blanket was issued to, Baker. So I think that's kind of cool. So I put the blanket inside. It's an older blanket, older wool blanket, kind of a brownish color as opposed to the, you know, the olive drab green. But I rolled it up and put it in my haversack, and I think it's a great piece. And then I did pick up one of these transitional uniforms. So when the military or the Army, Marine Corps mostly, transitioned from the old herringbone twill uniform with the 13-star metal buttons into the OG 107s, and this is a Type 1 or first issue OG 107s, there was still a lot of buttons left around in some of the factories that made these, because there's a lot of different companies that made the OG 107s, and they still had some metal buttons left over from the herringbone twills. So in this case, you have kind of a transitional uniform. You have the Type 1 OG 107 with the 13-star metal buttons on them. And it has the original patch, First Army. So I thought that was kind of cool. I like the transitional uniforms. It's pretty small, but I wanted an example. I have one other example I've showed in another video of that transitional. It has a great patch on it, but OG 107 with 13-star metal buttons. So I just think those are kind of cool pieces. And then I'd gotten OG 107. In this case, they're the Type 3, you know, with the button sleeves. I bought one previously. I wanted some Marine Corps examples, and I had bought one previously with this person's name on it, Millen.SA. And this is the one I had bought previously. And then I bought another one because I wanted another Marine Corps example. I like to do things in twos. And it just so happened to be the same soldier, or the same Marine, excuse me. There is a difference. And I just thought that was neat because I bought two of them, or I bought one, and several months later I bought another one, and it ended up being the same person. And it was a completely different platform that I bought it on, and a different dealer. But they were both in the same state, so they both must have went to the same flea market or the same estate sale or the same auction or something. But I thought that was kind of interesting. And I think that kind of wraps it up for today. Shout out to a couple of companies that I like. This is in Denton, Texas, which is not too far from me. And it's the Denton Used Bookstore. I don't remember if that's exactly the name, but it's one of the largest used bookstores. It also has records and vinyl and CDs. It has rare records. It has comic books. And it's like 3 or 4 stories. There's a basement. I didn't even know there was a basement. I've been going to this place for probably 2 years and didn't know there was a basement in a whole nother section until about a month ago, and didn't even know they had an upstairs section. That's how clueless I was about this place. But about a month ago, I went in there, and they have, you know, a downstairs and an upstairs, and the place is fantastic. So if you're ever around the Denton, Texas area, go check out the Denton, Texas used bookstore. It's a great place. The other thing is my hat. This is Western Aloha. Western Aloha is my favorite company that produces clothing now. They're kind of in Hawaii and in Texas, and they have like pearl snap Western shirts with that, you know, Hawaiian, a lot of different Hawaiian themed background on it or whatever. But you know, a Western or a Hawaiian cowboy is a paniolo. The name of my vintage clothing company or business is the Lost Paniolo, which kind of marries, you know, Texas and Hawaii kind of together. And this company just happened to fit right into that same kind of an idea when they first started a few years back. And what's neat is I love this hat. I got the hat for free. I ordered a couple t-shirts from them. One of the t-shirts they sent me, you could see it was cut with a box cutter. I sent it back, and they sent me the hat for the trouble of having a damaged t-shirt and having it replaced. And I kind of like the hat that I got for free better than the t-shirt. So that's just kind of cool. So shout out to Western Aloha. And shout out to the big, huge used bookstore right here in Denton, Texas. Very famous. And we'll talk to you next time and talk about some more interesting military stuff that I have coming in the mail that you're going to want to see.